What's up, everybody? This is Jay, Plotdrive co-founder, and we are making a video about prompting AI buttons in Plotdrive, which you see up here, and this button library button that we're going to go into that helps you create and manage all your one-click AI buttons, whether those are these generation buttons that generate text, or when you select text, these selection buttons that modify your text. And we're going to get into that. But first, I want to talk about how important prompting is. Instructing the AI model, which we've got up here. I'm going to actually choose a Plotdrive model. We're going to go with Claude 4 Sonnet, which I think is a good writing model. All the models are different. We're going to talk about, they have different like strengths and weaknesses that are quite subtle sometimes. And I think the name of the game in learning on how to improve at writing with AI is experimentation, iteration, as you are going through the process of working on your story or a piece of writing, whatever it is that's burning a hole inside of you and begs to be put on the page. So before I show you some things I've learned about prompting as I've improved my own writing, I want to just show you what I call the creative control pyramid. And I think this is sort of almost all that matters. It's like this, like writing is like you pick up a pen and you put it on the page and you can work with letters and language and words. They're the primary unit of thought. And writing with AI, and it's endlessly deep, right? You'll learn what the work wants to teach you your whole life of being a writer. The writing with AI, I think, has a simple concept at its core as well that likely will never change as long as the models are continuing to evolve and we're continuing to work with them in the way that we are. And it's these three sort of pillars. And one is like settings. So which AI model are you using? And this is, I really encourage you to join the Plotdrive Discord and the community and talk with other writers about which models that they like using and under what settings. Again, I'm using Claude Sonnet 4. People really like Gemini 2.5 Pro from Google. OpenAI O series model, O3 is a reasoning model that's really good. Second is the context. So deciding what the AI needs to know and remember for every instruction that you give it. This is really important in maintaining consistency of voice over a long form period of work. We'll probably do another video just on context. In Plotdrive itself, you can control the context with these toggles. So like if I toggle this off, this chapter breakdown document is no longer shown to the AI model. If I toggle it on, it's in the model's context window, so it knows about it. This is something that we developed. Plotdrive is like a word processor. You're writing directly in the document. Something we developed to give writers full control over what the model is using. And it may not seem that important if you're working in ChatGPT and kind of like knows your projects and has memories of what you've talked with it about. But when we're talking about something like a book or a Substack essay or something that you really need consistency of voice over a long amount of text, primarily because that determines the quality of what you're creating, but also it determines how much your readers connect with it, then you really need to be controlling context. But this video is about prompting. So the instructions that you give to direct the task or goal for the AI. And I'm just going to show you really simply this, how we're going to, one, prompt in the document and iterate to improve our prompt and improve our result. Then two, how we're going to take that prompt that we're happy with and turn it into a button that's reusable that we can use anytime. And then three, I'm going to show you how to make buttons really quickly on the fly with basically at the speed of thought. The speed you think, oh, I could use a tool like that, you can create it. So that's what I want to show you in this video. So step one, we need to build, like we're writing this book, Vested in You, that I've been working on. It's like a pretty fun book about, basically it's like a romantasy. I've never written romantasy before. It's about this contest, this this startup founders who pitch not products but destinies, and about an exiled angel. She's the main character, and she's cursed to bring failure to this contest. So we needed to develop a writing style. This is like basically the voice of the book, and this is super important component that you'll need to develop, whether it's based on your writing voice and samples of your work, or whether it's based on something that you want to come up with the AI. You need to develop this in order to instruct the AI later when you're writing or when it's helping you edit. Like, what is this supposed to sound like? You know, what is Ursula Le Guin is one of my favorite writers. She has a great book called Steering the Craft that's about the sound of your voice, the sound of your words. This exercise has really taught me so much about like figuring out how your words sound spoken aloud when you're reading them. So in that sense, we need a writing style, and I'm going to use this go button. This go button is really versatile. You could write a full book with just the go button, and this allows you to basically prompt in the document. So I'm going to be like, my instruction, create me a writing style. And I'm going to hit go, and let's see what we get. And that's like, you know, a 5-word writing style prompt. And because I have these documents toggled on, that means it's pulling in these components. So it knows I want to be writing about like this demo day story vested in you. So it's not bad. It's giving examples. It is alternating between 2 voices, and so I don't really want that. I want just Kiara's voice to be the main voice of the novel. I'm thinking like tight third-person perspective, and it is coming up with, I mean, this is just a testament to how intelligent these AI models are. It is coming up with stuff that is relevant, that would be relevant to future instructions to write this story, and it's giving samples. Great. So like, but I think we can do better. And the reason I think we can do better is because this is not that satisfying to me in terms of the instructions I would give a ghostwriter later, or I would even want to refer to on my own if I'm checking my own work. 2, I know from just writing books in Plotdrive, writing with the AI, that I can give the AI clearer, more direct, better context for its instructions later. This can be tighter, can be more alive to me, like more exciting. And 3, I know that create me a writing style is not a very good prompt. That's like a prompt that I might use if I'm delirious and I'm just running at the speed of light. I'm in like a word war with another author or something. I'm trying to just get as many words done as possible. It doesn't, it kind of does the job, but in a really like brittle way. So I'm going to reject this, and I am going to give it some more instructions that are better. So this time I'm going to be more clear and more upfront. And I'm going to use like what Anthropic says is a good way of prompting Claude models. So they advise you to start a prompt with 1, what the task results will be used for, then what audience the output is meant for, then 3, what workflow the task is part of and where the task belongs in that workflow, and then the end goal of the task, or what a successful task completion looks like. So I'm going to say like, you are tasked with creating a writing style to guide a ghostwriter of a romantasy novel. The voice of the story should be the main characters only, tight third person limited perspective. The readers will be voracious fans of this genre and very familiar with the tropes, to the point where the tropes executed in an emotionally satisfying way are why they read why they will read this book. This writing style document you are creating is a key component of a long form book writing workflow, and it will be included in the context given to the ghostwriter while they write chapters of the novel. That's a workflow test, and the end goal is to create a precise set of guided instructions that describe the writing voice and give clear examples of how the voice presents itself in prose description, internal thoughts and monologue, and dialogue with other characters, and action scenes. And so this one is much more fleshed out. You can see, right? Like way clearer. It's hitting a lot of different notes that I want to be part of what is created. And again, I'm just going to hit go, and let's see what we get this time. So it's saying alternating between Kiera and calls Lucian's point of view. So automatically I see that happening, and I'm like, okay, that is not what I want. So I'm going to stop it because I don't want Lucian's voice. So I'm going to stop it, reject it, and it should be the main characters only. Do not use alternating POVs or other characters. This writing style is for the main character only. So sometimes I think at the very end, if you see your model is generating stuff that, and here we go. If you see your model is generating stuff that you don't want, just stop it and don't wait. Don't just reject it and go back to the prompt and correct it. Okay. And so now we're getting something like that I find way more useful, because we're getting like language patterns. Is useful to an AI if I'm using a button like write draft later, or using it to write a chapter. Is even useful if I'm writing it and I need to go look at it and figure out, these are interesting language patterns. Let me try to come up with ideas for how they present themselves in these examples. So now we're getting examples. Examples are really good because if you don't have examples in your context, then the AI will just make up what it thinks your instructions represent, which are sometimes fine. But if you have examples of your own writing that you think is great or are great, put them in there in your context, because it will help the AI track more of what a successful outcome is of whatever operation that it's doing. So that's why I have examples in here. And okay, so now this to me is way more useful and I like it. And so cool. So one thing I'm going to show you that people who use Plotdrive a lot, who use the Go button writers, what they like to do, because the Go button always leaves the prompt in the document. And if you're working a lot and moving fast over multiple sessions, you might forget that you have prompts at the top of your documents, but you might also want to save these prompts. So one thing that people like to do is highlight this and use the color to change the color. So if they're flipping through the documents, they remember that they've got a prompt in here. So that's just one quick tip you might want to use. What we're going to do though is actually turn this prompt into a button. So I'm going to Control X. I've got it on my clipboard. It is cut and it's ready to become a button. What button like, what are we going to do with this? I want a reusable button because writing style is something that I'm going to be creating for almost probably every writing project that I am doing. And so I want to go into my button library here. And you can see we've got a bunch of folders with some default buttons that we set up that are helpful. There's a little bug that we're still tracking and gonna knock out soon. So let's get that off the screen, erase its existence. If you don't have these buttons and you would like them, the ones that you're seeing, like these core writing tools, planning, fix and improve, etc., the ones down here to essential revision kit, you can just click this button up here, import defaults, and you will get them. And then you can decide which ones you want to use or not use. But we want to create our own button. So how do you do that? Well, we've got two types of buttons. One is generate buttons and the other is selection buttons. You can think of these like pretty simply, like a generate button just generates text wherever your cursor is. Selection button is a button that works when you highlight text. Well, for what I want to create is like a button that instantly makes me a writing style document. So to do that, I'm probably just going to want to generate button because I'm going to want to open a blank document like we just had, writing style, and then I'm going to want to push that button and get the results. So I'm going to call this button create writing style, and you can add a description here, and then generates a writing style in third person limited POV. And let's make this, I don't know, some sort of green. That green looks cool. So here we've got this create writing style. Now to put it in your toolbar, you hit this pin button. So see, it's available there. And I like this writing style, so I'm going to save it, but we're going to create a new writing style document to test it. It's totally blank. And so we have it open here. Now, if I just push this button, my creator things have been used up. So if I just push this button, it does nothing because it doesn't have a prompt inside of it. So this right side of your button library contains where you put the prompt, build the prompt, and really create your button. And so we've got a couple of pieces to this. One is this prompt builder. This is what I'm going to show you at the end about to get some assistance for how to just describe a button we need and get a prompt super fast to use. But since we already tested our prompt using the go button, what we're going to do is actually work right here, and I'm going to paste it in. And again, like, okay, you would think that that's enough, right? And I'll create a writing style and see what happens. But here, you see it's creating it, but it's not using the context of my actual story. Like, and so why is that? Because, the go button just already did it, right? Like when I was writing in here and I just pushed go with this prompt, it already worked. Well, it's because of something that is a really important piece of Plotdrive system, these variables. And so what are variables? They pull, if they're present, they pull relevant content from your documents, the ones that are toggled on, into the AI's context window. So we have to figure out how to place them. And it's actually pretty simple. So words before are like pull in all text in the document before your cursor. Active documents are the documents currently toggled on. Words after is text in the document after your cursor. These are very, very flexible. It's like very, very simple too. So what we want to do is like read this prompt and make sure we get variables to pull it in. So you're tasked with creating a writing style to guide a ghostwriter of a romantic novel. The voice of the story should be the main characters only, tight third-person perspective. The readers will be voracious fans of the genre. So this looks good. Key component, this looks good. The end goal, do not use all this writing style is for the main character only. Of a romantic novel, let's say. Let's add it here. Use active documents And I'll add words before, even though we don't really need words before, just because in case I had anything in my document, like some context at the top of the document, I would want it to know it for context. So that's all you need here. And now we should just push create writing style, and we should get this. There you go. We're getting the same thing that we had with the prompt in the document, except it's a little bit cleaner. And now we have a reusable button that we can pin or unpin. And I can also modify this to be like guide a ghostwriter of a novel. So this might be more all purpose. So it could work for any novel because we already get the sense that it's going to be a romantasy based on my context. So there we go. Okay. So last thing is, what if I just wanted to make a create writing style button and I didn't want to, I'm moving faster. I don't have time to really iterate on my prompting. I just want something to create a writing style. So what I would do is describe what my button should do here, and it'll auto-generate it, including the variables. So like your task is to generate a writing style for the book in the genre that I'm writing. Keep it pretty vague, right? Like you kind of need a button that just creates a writing style. Generate the prompt. And here you go. Now, this is good enough to go with, I think. Let's see what happens if I use this one instead of the other one. You know, it's maybe not as good because it's not as detailed in terms of the prompting. It's not as specific, but it should be enough to get me going. And so let's see what it gives us. See, this is pretty solid. I mean, we're getting sentence length patterns. Again, I'd have to modify it to make sure that it's only dealing with Kiera. Another way that I might modify this, by the way, is like if I went back into character sheets, I might divide character sheets. See, I've got both characters here. I might make like a folder that's characters and then break them out into their own documents and only toggle on Kiera. Then I'm much more guaranteed to get when I like run a prompt, especially like create writing style, something only in Kiera's voice. So that's sort of how you use prompting to iterate on your ability to get good outputs out of the LLM. That's how you create buttons that you want to reuse once you get a good prompt, especially if you're using the Go button. That's how you use this prompt builder inside the button library. That's how you use this prompt editor window. I think the last thing I'll say is like you can pin or unpin whole folders to your toolbar. You can, this is global. This library comes with you from project to project. And the pinned doc at the top is unique per project. So you can have different sort of sets for different projects that you're working on, but it's all contained inside this one library. The other thing I'll say is in these selection buttons, they're a little bit different. You have a little bit different variables. So here you have selected words. That just means, you know, we need that variable in there to tell the AI, hey, when I like highlight these are the selected words that you should be operating on when I click this button. And so that needs to be in there. And if you want to use this instruction box, which will pop up right here, this instruction box, if you want the prompt, the model to read your instructions, be funny or whatever, you need to make sure in here you have that instruction box called out. But again, if you use the prompt builder, it will generally set you up with the right variables. And so we really developed Plotdrive to give you like ultimate control and flexibility. get as close to the model as possible. So that's how you do it. And going back to the, again, creative control pyramid one last time, just to remind you, the models all behave differently. You might want to try one for a while and then switch in another one and just play around with which ones work best for you, depending on what type of writing you're working on. The context really matters, the control of the context window, like understanding not only just like how much of it I'm giving the AI, like how many documents I'm toggling on, but like what is the best, most precise context I can give. Like, as if you're, when you're instructing a friend or an editor or whatever, a human, there's a huge difference between like, hey, do this thing, or hey, do this thing and know all these things that you need to know. And then being vague versus very clear and direct. And again, same with the instructions, the prompt. I like to use the analogy like in terms of prompt instructions, like when you go back and if we look at my more fine-tuned or say like iterated on prompt here, like if you think about like how many words this is, and then think about like imagine your like favorite writers and like this amount of words in a book that you love, like the opening page, let's say it's the first paragraph or something. You look at like the amount of movement and meaning that they convey in this amount of words versus the amount of movement and meaning conveyed in this amount of words from like a average or a beginning writer. It's just like night and day. And so the same principle applies in prompting. Like you don't need to have the longest, most detailed prompts, although sometimes you might want them. You might want a prompt that's like a page long, with really, really detailed instructions. But you want to make the most of your words. And I really recommend talking to other writers who are sophisticated and have done this a lot and trying to get some tips and tricks. And I'm sure as I make more tutorial videos to show off how to get the most out of Plotdrive and which is really just how to get the most out of writing with AI. We really built an interface that kind of just gives you, it's like a cockpit that gives you control of that pyramid and gives you as much flexibility in writing as possible. Again, like pen to page, words on a typewriter to document, word processor to document. I think start to see like how to get the most leverage out of your capabilities as a master or beginner or an intermediate writer on the way to mastery in terms of this amazing art form. So hope this video is useful. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, tell your friends about Plotdrive. There's a very robust free version now, so anyone can try it and take a crack at writing with AI. And in my mind, the more writers who start writing with AI, the more we all learn together, the more we push these strategies forward. Because I learned everything that I know about writing with AI by both writing with AI and talking to other writers who are writing with AI about how they're doing what they're doing. So thanks for watching. Hope this was useful. Have a great day and happy writing.